Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Crawford may be feeling. Sport won't retire me. Fans don't care anyway. I'm going to do my thing. Hey, yo, Crawford, hold your horses. Stop taking it to the stupid. There are fans who support you, man. There are fans who care. The fans who understand your story. Fans who know you were done wrong. Fans who know you deserve more credit. There are people out here, man, who want to champion you. But we respect you deciding to call it quit from the sport. We understand you're 38, got a bunch of kids, you got a bunch of money. Nothing else you can do in boxing except really be the springboard for some, fighter who probably has a longer shelf life than you. So you're retiring. I know part of you wanted to stay. I know part of you wanted to keep fighting. I know that. A lot of money to be made right now. Although you had money before the Turkey on the Street fight, that was just a cherry on top and how to go out on top. But let's not take it to the stupid and think that, nobody cares. But I know it's how social media can be. They're rough. But understand this, man. Crawford, when it comes to Terence Crawford, I don't know if he officially retired. You know what I'm saying? I know they've come out and he's given up the belts, but I don't know if I've seen an official, no kidding official, formal announcement, permanent retirement. Nothing, there's no coming together, having a press conference. And I don't know. What we're seeing is strategic inactivity from Terence Crawford, maybe. But maybe he's out of here. Maybe he's really done. But see, in boxing, inactivity doesn't mean he's afraid. Doesn't mean that Crawford's washed up. I think Crawford's smart. I think he's like 75% towards retirement. But 25% of this announcement about him being done with boxing, giving up the belts, is for him to gain some leverage and a comeback fight. The talks are going to be Terence Crawford out of retirement, back to fight. But you got to understand this for all your boxing fans who are like, hey, yo, hold your horses, Hood Champion. Don't take it to the stupid. Crawford's out of here. Hey, how about this, Nicholas? Why don't you take it easy? Fighters don't always retire, man. They step away, wait, observe the market. And especially fighters who already made generational money, this already reframes the whole discussion. Just that little bit I dropped on you should have you like, okay, maybe you got something here. But the reality is this. Age is the silent opponent that nobody beats. Father Time is undefeated. Even I know that. Crawford is entering, the man about to be 39, about to go into his 40s. High mileage years after a career of elite competition. Hasn't really taken much damage, but he has taken some shots and had the bing bings put on him. If you figure you've been boxing since you've been 7, you're retiring now at 38, all the training camps, all the sparring, all the fights, whether you took major damage or not, if you just factor 38, what is it, 38? Yeah. So 31 years of being hit. That's a problem, people. May not seem like much to you because he doesn't get hit that often, but when you take 31 years of training camps, sparring, fighting, it's a lot of mileage on any fighter's body. But there's a psychological reality to what's going on here. Like Crawford, he doesn't probably feel old right now until, all of a sudden he's not recovering the same. Crawford has talked about camps and little things he feels in camp. But the bottom line is, man, camps get harder. If he was to get injured, it would linger. It'd take a lot longer to recover from it. And then you can see that some of the motivation shifts from wanting to prove that he's the best to just trying to protect the undefeated record, the undisputed distinctions, the ascending 5 different weight classes. That ain't the position that Crawford wants to be in. He don't want to be there trying to protect what I have. Nah, man. It's over. At a certain age, every fight costs more than money. And that's what people need to understand. And even I needed to understand that because I'm like, damn, Crawford could come out here and make 100 million, 150. But maybe Crawford is like, shit, I'm going to sit back, gain some leverage, and come back and hit him one more time for that 9-figure payday. And then I'm in the breeze. But I tell you this, don't come back to 168. I know he felt comfortable there because he didn't have to kill himself to make 135, 140, 147, even 154. Very comfortable at 168. But that's a bad business move. You know, we got to be honest. Got to be honest. At 168, Crawford going to face naturally bigger guys, longer arms, stronger frames, fighters who grew up at that weight, guys who balloon up to pay probably over 200 pounds. With Canelo, Crawford knew what he was doing. Canelo really wasn't a big guy. Crawford, as far as, reach and height and everything, he had the advantage. Canelo was just thicker. But we have to really think about that, man, and take that into consideration because the important framing here is losing at 168 wouldn't mean Crawford wasn't great. It would mean that physics showed up. Okay? It's pretty damn simple when you start talking about physics, start talking about biology. It's lose-lose math, man, for him to have continued at 168. If he win, they're going to say he fought a weak version of whoever he fought. If he loses, they're going to say, he was too small, he shouldn't have been in there. And they're going to say he was never that good. See, he finally got exposed. So that's nothing about him hanging around would have been legacy friendly unless he fought like a David Benavidez at 175 or something like that. But Crawford ain't going to do that. And this conversation about him, well, he just moved back down to 160 and Bomac was talking and seemed like that's what he should do. Hey, why not just go down to 160? But let me tell you something. We talked about it in videos. I know I've done a lot of Clarissa Shields videos lately because, that shit right there, that shit is the cha-ching ching Wu-Tang cream. So you guys understand. That's why I'm doing them videos, right? But the reality is going down to the smaller weights, guys are younger, hungrier, faster, more reckless opponents, guys who can really, make Crawford look old. And that's not what he wants. He doesn't want to be the guy who helps to catapult these younger guys to superstardom off of his name. Now, fuck that because people don't give Crawford the credit he deserves anyway. If he goes on 160 and gets clipped by Carlos Adames, shit, you would hope he didn't go down to 160 and get clipped by Arizona Lara. Like, that would be all bad. They would never stop writing negative stuff about Terence Crawford because now they would have the ammunition. I'll tell you what, Crawford going down to fight them smaller guys, they would risk their lives to beat Terence Crawford. You know what I mean? They have nothing to lose, everything to gain. That's when great champions get hurt. You know what I mean? That's when they get hurt. Not embarrassed. But when you look at Terence Crawford bouncing, you can't blame him, man. Crawford's thing, he doesn't talk about the opponents. It's the fans, man. It's the fans. Almost like Gervonta Davis don't give a shit no more. Crawford you can tell he's just tired, man. Because fan support has never been unconditional. Could you imagine if Terence Crawford lost? He never lost. And they still raked him across the coals. Could you imagine if he lost? Oh, it'll be over. It would be over, man. Crawford was respected, but not universally loved. He got a lot of respect towards the end, but he never was able to attain universal love. Never had that Floyd-level fan protection, But the reality is fans praised him when he was winning, questioned him immediately after inactivity, and moved goalposts constantly for Terence Crawford. Like, Crawford would have to go up to heavyweight, and they still wouldn't give him credit. But the key insight with all this, right, is when fans don't ride with you emotionally, every loss hits harder. And that's why Crawford knows time to bounce, because late in his career, he can't afford to take a loss late in his career and have the fans just go and start to rip him apart. Like, he don't want to deal with that headache. He needs to be mentally healthy for his family. And right now, he's on top. And he's chilling. And he's got dough. But I just think the lose-lose optics is a trap. Every scenario looked bad for Terence Crawford, man. Fight up, Crawford's too small to be up there with them heavy guys. fight down, they're going to say, well, he probably beat nobody. The guys were too small, even though real boxing fans know at 160, they got some killers. If he loses once, they're going to say, oh, he was exposed. He was never that good. If he wins narrowly, they're going to say, yep, Crawford's slipping there. It's happened. Father Time is undefeated. Just a matter of time. You see, and this is what I think Terence Crawford said back, and he looked at these things we just mentioned, and he's like, you know what, man? What am I still proving? I mean, what am I doing this shit for? These people don't care about me. You know, hit him with the old Rick James. I'm rich, bitch. You know what I'm saying? He don't care. He don't care. And this shit about Victor Conte. Look, I understand people talking about Victor Conte, but with me, I don't say much unless it's positive because I don't like to talk about the deceased. That's just how I was raised. I believe in that. But for this conversation, I'm just going to mention things that I've seen in some of the comments. You see, this Victor Conte and the misinformation problem, right? It's something that should be discussed. Victor Conte is no longer with us. But the thing is, when he was alive, right, he wasn't Crawford's sole source of preparation. But he did play a vital role in getting all snack fighters, in particular Crawford, ready for fights. But I just want people to understand, Crawford is elite. He is a special talent. And when you're elite, you're special. Those kind of fighters don't depend on one man. So this thing about, well, Victor Conte's gone, that's why Crawford retiring. He can't get the Conte cocktail. I wouldn't buy into that. But what I do think is fair to say is trust matters as fighters age. Confidence in camps matter. Stability matters. This isn't about PEDs and shit like that. This is about comfort and certainty. And at the end of the day, when you think about the multiple reasons that Crawford chose to walk away from the sport, I don't even think Victor Conte's snack had anything to do with Crawford's decision. That's just my opinion. But I understand it makes for good clickbait, makes for good conversation, and good for stirring the pot. I understand. I get it. Good for if you want to joke. I get it. I understand. I don't agree, but I understand. One thing I do understand and agree with is Crawford's out here chilling like, yo, I'm healthy, I'm present, I'm rich. Shit, man. This is the part that them fans who hate on him, they hate admitting it. Look, man, Crawford got dough, legacy, health, children. He got a whole lot of time he can't get back. And now he's got it, man. So the perspective shift. Punches hurt more when you've already won. And risk feels dumber when your kids need you. I understand that because I've been retired for 7 years. And, you know, I could have gone back out here, back into the workforce, man, and be getting that cha-ching-ching Wu-Tang cream, suited and booted, traveling all around the world and shit, you know what I'm saying? I could have been doing a whole lot of things. But I'm telling you, man, I don't force things, and I did take a job, and I walked out the door on that first day, got in the driveway, jumped in the whip, and I fucking sat there for like 10 minutes. I said, what am I doing? I went back in the house with my kids, man. I was like, man, fuck this shit. My wife just looked at it. She's like, you ain't going? I'm like, fuck that. I didn't have to. And I didn't. And I never, ever returned back. And there are some days where I feel like I wonder because you have all this talent, all these skills. You know what you bring to the table. And people, you know, not as much now as the first like 6 years, but 5 years, it was always at me. Got an opportunity. Come over here. You don't have to do nothing. We just need you to come over here and lead this, you know, oversee this, travel and speak at these and do shit like that. We need you to come in as a contractor and we got a contract. We'll give you this contract. We need you to do this. Because anyway, without me getting to the specifics, I just have certain qualifications. And I just enjoy my time, man. I like going to sleep when I want to. I get up, make sure my kids are straight, get them off to school, come back, do my videos, exercise, relax, run, whatever I want to do. I don't want to be doing that shit. Even if I'm traveling around, I don't want to do that. I don't even like sitting on airplanes. I got pain in my goddamn tailbone, man. You know, I sit here doing these videos. I'm sitting on a pillow and a cushion. I don't want to do that shit. I just don't want to do it. I want to leave my kids, man. Fuck that. So for Terence Crawford, I got 4 boys. Crawford got like 7 kids or some shit. 8. Crawford got a little crew. If I would have started younger, I probably would have about 8, because I do even numbers. So I had 2 kids, I'm only going to have 4. Them 4, I told my wife, better be careful, we fuck around and have 6, because we ain't doing odd numbers. So Crawford there chilling, man. But the key line here for Terence Crawford is at some point the biggest win is not getting hit anymore. And the biggest win is having your time back and spending time with your family and your children, man. But just understand, I think Crawford saying he's retired, right? I think that's a bit of a strategic absence. That ain't fear or losing and shit like that. That's a strategic absence. And there's an important distinction to draw here. Fear makes you hide, strategy makes you wait. Big difference, man. Crawford waiting could mean, like I said, could come back for one last mega fight for that $100, $150, $200 million payday. And it'll be a last legacy payday. Or, nothing at all, and all 3 are valid. He may do it, he may not. Who knows? So, will Terence Crawford return? Look, I'm going to tell you right now, my most honest answer on Terence Crawford returning, one, I don't know. Nobody knows. All we can do is sit here and speculate, assume, dialogue, make a prediction. I think Terence Bud Crawford, Omaha, Nebraska's finest, will return only if the reward outweighs the risk. And not financially, I'm talking emotionally and physically. That's how elite fighters think, late in their career. They're like, all right, emotionally and physically, this has got to be something that really gets him fueled. You can't just say, hey, come back, fight. Let's say hey, come back, fight Ryan Garcia for $150 million. That ain't going. I don't think that'll get Crawford's juices flowing. Like, fight who? Ryan. You're like, why? I just don't think he would get in camp and be motivated. But it had to be something that emotionally he's like, all right, I want this. I think physically he's like, yeah, I can't wait to get in here and train and I go out here and face this guy and get this money. I think it's got to be a bit financial than emotional and physical, man. I just don't think you could just throw money at Crawford and he's just going to be like, all right, I'll come back. He's not going to embarrass himself. He's not going to do that. Why come back just to fight a bum and then fans rip you again? Nah, man. Come back. If you're going to do it big. You know what I mean? Go out with a bang or go down in flames. Anyway, was Terence Crawford in a lose-lose situation before he retired? Hell yeah, he was in the lose-lose. That damn WBC, the sanctioning bodies, 168 with huge fighters. If he cuts down to 160, young killers down there. His ass ain't getting no younger. He's got a bunch of kids and businesses, business interests, and traveling, and a lot of commitments. The man, he couldn't focus. But now, reached that breaking point, and he's chilling. But believe you me, Terence Crawford, he didn't retire because he couldn't win again. Nah, it's because winning no longer guaranteed peace. It's just more damn headaches. And that's when great fighters walk away. He's not broken. He's complete. And he's chilling. And y'all need to cut him some slack. Let that man do his thing. And you know what I'm about to do? About to go ahead and make me a cup of coffee and get in the breeze. Y'all keep cool. Shout out Terence Crawford. I think he'll come back. But it got to be more than money. Unless they give him some like $200 million. He may say, man, they can say what they want about me. I'm coming to get that money. But I think for Crawford, it's more than money. I really do. Anyway, y'all keep cool. I'm in the break.